Okay, so joining us today is the CEO of a fast-growing company developing digital healthcare solutions by using Earth observation satellites and artificial intelligence. Marco Morelli is also the board director of a corporate group of companies in Italy and in the UK, developing innovations in the defence and security, energy and healthcare sectors. Wow, Marco, how are you today?
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. I'm very well, hope you too, and it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, well, firstly, thank you very much for taking the time. It sounds like you've got an awful lot going on, so taking the time out of your busy day to share with us a bit about your story. So to kick us off, it would be fantastic if you give us a bit of a background in terms of what it is that you do, and it's SciHealth, isn't it, the sort of main company, what it is that SciHealth offers.
I think that you already introduced it quite well. Anyway, just a few words about myself. So I'm a physicist, so my background is in science, and I did a PhD in physics kind of 10 years ago. And during the PhD that was funded by the corporate group Flyby, that is based in Italy, in Tuscany, I developed with my colleagues a technology for measuring solar radiation exposure. So the exposure of sunlight of a person anywhere, anytime, using satellite data, so real-time pictures of the atmospheres and the geolocation that is provided by the GPS of a smartphone. That technology is now used for different applications by SciHealth, that is the company we founded in the UK for developing these applications and bringing them to the market. And there are different types of applications. Mostly we do mobile apps for recommending the optimal sunscreen to avoid sunburn or to get enough vitamin D from sunlight. Or alternatively, another type of applications, it's about using sunlight for treating skin cancer from remote. So it's called home telemedicine of skin cancer. It's all based on solar radiation exposure to sunlight that is controlled in real time using satellite data.
Wow, that's incredible. How did you get into that? What sparked the interest into
Well, actually, personally, when I graduated in physics, I was fascinated by atmosphere and this kind of satellite stuff. And so I found this company that was kind of developing applications in that sector for different sectors.
Yeah.
And using satellite data, but for energy, as you say, the Flyby group works in the energy sector, like for monitoring the photovoltaic plants or in the security sector. And then we started to work on the medical applications of this technology, satellite-based technology, and I was fascinated by it because I thought, and I think it's great to use science, what we do, what you can use of science for applications, actually help people in their life, and medical applications are very important for people, and so I feel proud of it. That's what.
Yeah, so it's a great cause, isn't it? I can certainly tell you're very passionate about it, and probably don't find it too difficult to get motivated to get up in the morning and get stuck into the day.
Absolutely not. No, it's great. Okay. So we have a great team. So it's a pleasure to work with the people that we found here in the UK. So yes, absolutely, I'm very motivated.
And how long have you been going for now?
So SciHealth, we founded SciHealth in 2014, but we actually started the operations in 2017 when I relocated myself from Italy to the UK. So I started the operations of SciHealth alone in an empty room in Harwell campus, that is near to Didcot here in Oxfordshire. And then the company started to grow. So after 2 years, we received an investment by BASF, that is a multinational company that develops filters for sunscreens. So that's why they were interested to our technology for recommending their filters. And now we have about 10, 15 people based here in the UK, and we are continuing to grow. So it's a nice adventure.
So if you go back to 2017 when you started the operations, or even maybe a little bit before it when you're sort of planning out how it is you're going to get started, would you, if you had the opportunity to start again, would you do anything different? And if you would do anything differently, what sort of things would you do?
That's a great question, and it's always hard to look to things in hindsight, because if you look back, of course you can understand, you can see things in a different way just because you learned. So I think that anyway, mistakes are part of the path that an entrepreneur or anyway a manager has to, just to experience, and those are important moments for learning. So in terms of specific things, I think that from the beginning we really tried to develop our technology and our applications, and maybe at the beginning we didn't look too much on the marketing side, on the market side, on what was actually needed by our target users. So
Okay.
as typical scientists and engineers, we started being very passionate about the idea. So we developed the technology, we continuously developed it, we fine-tuned it, but we were kind of losing a bit sight on the users. And so this means that we ended up in developing great apps, but that were felt like a bit too scientific or too difficult to understand for the users, the target users. And so then we had to learn about, okay, what is the kind of target market that you're actually addressing? What are the needs? What are focus on that? How do you monetize it? All this kind of the business side came a bit later. So maybe we could have started immediately from that, and that maybe could have helped us to grow even a bit faster, but it's hard to do it.
Like you say, you learn from those mistakes and those challenges and things like that. And as long as you do take those lessons on and sort of move forward with it, then they're healthy, aren't they? If you don't take risks and don't make mistakes, then you're probably not pushing hard enough.
If you never tried, you can never succeed.
Exactly. It's a really interesting learning, actually, the target market thing, because that's not uncommon to a lot of business owners when they start off in the industry that they specialize in, whether it's a product or a service, whatever it is their offering is. They're very knowledgeable about that, and they spend a lot of time building because a lot of people want to go into business for themselves to do it better than the previous company or slightly differently and things like that. So they spend a lot of time focusing on their product or service, not necessarily looking at who wants it.
Definitely.
And the target market. So you're right. Target market is really focus, key focus. Get that right. Build the products and service that is right for that target market.
Absolutely. And I will add a keyword: listen.
Listen, absolutely.
Listening to your users for real, without prejudice, without thinking already what they are going to think. No, asking and listening to them, it's a key thing. And maybe at the beginning, when you love the idea and you're starting and you feel, a startup and you're starting a new stuff and whatever, you're in love with your own idea, you tend to listen, not very much.
That's very true.
Very
true. So you've experienced a bit of growth since you started. Sounds like you say you're making great traction. You're getting some investment and funding and things like that. What would you say are your biggest learnings as a business owner in that journey since you began? What have you learned most?
Regarding investments, well, definitely the first investment we received, that was in 2019 from BASF, well, it was an incredible learning experience. I will put it in this way.
Okay.
Because BASF is a big corporate. So at the time, we're a company of 4 people with a patented technology that the big corporate was interested to. So that whole the due diligence process, the whole experience with them was definitely a key. I mean, we learned a lot out of it because.
So do you think you had a bit of? Do you think you had a bit of imposter syndrome as a sort of three?
Kind of. I think that maybe at the very beginning, yes, probably yes, because we thought like, wow, we are a small company, we have technology, we have this big corporate that is really interested to us. Wow, for real? So yes, that was kind of. But later on, I think it was more about not being overwhelmed by the process. Also because of course, you are a team, you are a small team. You have a technology that those other guys are interested to. They want to invest. But of course, you are battling in terms of interest, of course, when you do the whole due diligence with a company that has a team of lawyers just for your deal of 15 lawyers. So it was us with our lawyer, but 3 people with the owner and the lawyer against kind of 15 lawyers. And of course, we had to take care of our own interest as a company instead of selling out what we had. So that was kind of a process where we had a lot to learn. Also, contractual conditions that we never heard of. I mean, IPOs, what happens if we go into an IPO and we never thought to it, and benefits for employees. We thought, benefits? We are 3 people, what benefits? And they were asking, it was the tax lawyer asking about the tax on the benefits for the employees. I mean, all these kind of details were clearly, we didn't know anything about it.
It's a different world to science.
Different world, absolutely. But it was a great experience, so we learned a lot from that, and that helped also the further growth of the company, because personally, I decided after that period to do a Master in Business Administration and MBA at the University of London. So just to learn a bit about the business side of things, also because we started to have a board of directors. Before
Yeah.
it was just us talking and deciding stuff. Then we had, with the BSF as a shareholders, we needed to have directors and to have formal meetings and to decide things and the voting rights and all these kind of things. So it was definitely a growth experience for me and for the company.
It's a good point again, because a lot of people go into business in the industry, as we said earlier, around what they're sort of focused on, their specialism, their speciality in terms of what they know. But there is a whole world of actually knowing about business, and business, being in business is a job in itself, isn't it? It's kind of, there's a dual learning aspect there.
I totally agree. And of course, also as a scientist, the impression is always like, come on, business is not rocket science. It's very simple. But actually, it's not, because it's a mix between, science, but also human arts. There is a lot of art in doing business. You have to understand the people. You have to listen to people. You have to persuade people. And it's not all about numbers. And so, yes, definitely a lot of learning on that too. And I think that that experience and the whole experience with BSF in these years, and in the last 5 years, has helped us to grow as a company also from a cultural point of view. I mean, company culture point of view.
Yeah.
We started as a startup, we can do everything. Let's try this, let's try that, without a clear strategy. And now we learn how to manage the business properly, with the proper strategy, with the business plan, understanding what are the targets, the goals year by year. And that's why, for example, now we just opened a new round for investors. And because the business opportunities, particularly on the dermocosmetic market, so for our apps, for mobile apps for applying sunscreens, but also cosmetics that are related to the sun exposure, have a lot of interest. And there is also a lot of interest on the treatment with the daylight of diseases like vitiligo or psoriasis. And there are a lot of big corporates that are interested. So now we need to grow further in order to address this interest. And the whole experience with BSF helped us a lot to learn how to do it, how to be, to deal with this kind of big corporates.
Yeah, you sort of mentioned about the people aspects, and like you say, business actually is relatively quite simple, but it's not easy to do because of human intervention, people and things like that. So sounds like you've kind of gone through the funding process that's kind of forced you to look at that cultural aspect. The vision, the mission, the purpose, and values, what it is you stand for.
And also the team building side.
Yeah. When you started, did you have a clear vision of what it is that you wanted to do and achieve and get to when you started, or did that come as a result of that?
I think a bit of both. I mean, at the start, we definitely had the idea. So the idea since the beginning was to develop mobile applications, mobile apps, and we wanted to do this to target this specific market. So apps for solar radiation related to sunlight, because there is a lack in the market. I mean, you can find a lot of weather apps, but none of them are accurate. They are gadgets. And we can do the kind of accurate, clinically proven level of it. So we are developing medical devices certified that are based on the satellite system for monitoring solar radiation. So it's another level. And we thought that's a niche, but it's a niche. It's like, the blue ocean strategy. It's like we found our blue ocean and we said, okay, let's go there. Yeah. And we are doing it. Actually, it worked, but at the same time, we have to learn a lot about, as I said before, regarding how to monetize it, how to market our applications. It's not all about innovations and finding a niche where no one else is actively active, but it's also about finding the right customers and defining the whole position your products in the right market in the right way, to define the pricing. I mean, all these business aspects, it's definitely something that we never considered at the beginning. We just learned during the years.
But it sounds like you're an avid learner. Sounds like you're somebody that relishes new challenges and continue to grow yourself.
Yes,
as a person.
I mean, a good example is in 2019. After many years in working and in this kind of industry, I decided let's do an MBA in the weekend. Why not?
Oh yeah, easy.
Well, it was a very nice experience, and of course I did an executive MBA, so it was just during the weekend, so it was manageable. But yes, I'm definitely the type of person that likes to learn. You got it perfectly right.
Yeah, I see that's a common theme across, successful entrepreneurs is that growth mindset, is that wanting more information, learning, but purposeful learning. So like you say, doing the MBA to learn business, there's a purpose behind it, isn't there? It's not just
Yes.
learning for the sake of learning. Yeah, very good.
Absolutely. Also, because for me, it's very important that whatever I do, I mean, in whatever I do, I try to find a purpose, to find something that can be used by someone, that
Yeah.
can benefit someone, me and the rest of the people. So yes, that's the approach.
Very good. So let's talk about team for a minute then. So you started off pretty much on your own, then small team of three. How many team members have you got now?
Now we have, I mean, 10, and if you don't count the interns. And yes, actually, now we have 10, but it's like a core team that has been with us for years.
Yeah.
And but with the next round of investment, definitely we plan to maybe increase that number, particularly because we need now to develop for real the sales, the marketing departments. Now we have most of the team is dedicated to the technical development and the product management, basically.
So what qualities do you look for in that team and getting those right, that core team and getting the right people around you? And then how do you keep that, that productive working environment going, keep it alive?
That's $1 million question. It's not very simple, and that's definitely something that requires a lot of attempts, because finding the right people, it's complicated. It's also because maybe you can find people with the right skills, but they are not the right people at the same time, because they have to fit also in the company culture and and with the others. So it's a successful business is done by successful people and a successful team. Without a successful team, there is no chance that you can have a successful business. So I think that the key qualities for me, apart obviously skills, but it's skills. In our case, of course, we have software developers, so they need to know how to develop software. But I think that the human skills, the soft skills, are very, very important for collaborating with your colleagues, for presenting what you do to the others, to make sure that the things run. I mean, that there is a team collaborative spirit. Those are key things. For example, we had during these years some people that were extremely skilled, great developers, great engineers, but simply they didn't click with the others. They were not so collaborative. They were working on their own, and those people at the end had to leave the company because it doesn't work. So you need people that communicate very well. And that's a key thing. I would say key quality is to be able to communicate, and it doesn't mean be able to do, conferences, to go around the world and present what you do. I mean, with your colleagues, but that's a key thing, to be able to communicate and agree with the others and find a common ground together. That's, I think, a key thing that is very important.
Yeah, communication is fundamental, absolutely fundamental. 9 times out of 10, with challenges that arise or problems that arise, you can normally drill it down to some form of communication breakdown somewhere, whether it's internally, externally.
Absolutely. Also because internally, of course, the goal is the same for everyone. We want our company to be successful. So in order to be rewarded, to grow professionally inside the company. So it's more a matter of communicating and discussing and defining together what's the best strategy for the whole team, and to be on board with it, instead of just, the people that normally are not part of this are the kind of people that say yes, but they think no, and they just go on their own. And that's what's damaging for the team at the end of the day.
So how have you found recruitment over the recent years? How have you found finding the right people and getting the right people on board?
That's an interesting question, because in Italy, there is no such thing as recruitment.
Okay.
Because no such thing. I mean, it's not the same as in the UK. It's not very common. So companies not, because there is not a lot of, the job offer is so vast. It's not, sorry, in the UK, we have a lot of job opportunities. In Italy, you don't. So companies don't need the recruiters. They just have to, even a small company can say, I have a new open job position, you advertise it on LinkedIn, and for sure you will have tens of people applying, good people, without the need of any recruiter.
Okay.
Something that we had to learn, the cultural difference on this aspect between Italy and the UK. So when I first started in September 2017, I remember clearly they said, come on, recruiters, I absolutely don't need them. I can find the right people by myself. I'm in a campus, come on, I'll go around and find people. in the IT sector, engineers in this country, no chance. Of course, at the very beginning, with this kind of approach, we found people that were not skilled, but just in very peculiar situations, like people coming from, I don't know, Czech Republic, never that were not even speaking well English, trying to find a new job here. This kind of, a bit strange situations. And then after, I think, 1 year, I realized, okay, without a recruiter, I had no chances to find good developers in this country. So I started to work with recruiters, and I have to say that at the very beginning, of course, I had no idea. So I just started from the ones in Harvard campus or around. And the experience sometimes has been good, sometimes not that good, but it's also very matter of community. I know that the recruiter work is difficult because you have to keep into account different points of view. There is your own point of view, the point of view of the company, the point of view of the candidate. So it's hard to find a compromise between those. But I find that sometimes recruiters tend to be not very, it's a matter of trust. At a certain point, I feel that sometimes there is this game played where I'm just an actor. And if I don't know transparently what's the situation, it's not something that I like very much in terms of collaboration with the recruiter. So during the years, I selected one by one the recruiters that I wanted to work with, that normally are the ones that are very transparent, just telling me, okay, this is the candidate, that's the money that the guy wants. What are you going to do about it? And now I have a set, like a list of select recruiters that I work with. I just call them and say, I need a guy, I need someone in 2 weeks' time. Can we do something about it? And we just talk about it. And it's a very open and transparent collaboration.
There's a couple of aspects there, isn't there? One is recognizing that actually sometimes you need experts around you that know the industry that they're in. Your time as a business owner is better spent elsewhere growing the business as opposed to trying to do somebody else's job.
Particularly here in this country.
And then the second aspect is then as the business owner, learning enough about it to know whether you've got the right industry expert or not, knowing what questions to ask them to make sure you're not going down the wrong path.
Definitely true. Also because I think it's not just it's also the type of people you collaborate well with. Okay, it's a matter of different mindset. I'm sure that there are different business owners, different managers that like different types of recruitment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But in my case, I'm a person that values very much transparency and this kind of trust and this kind of saying things exactly as they are directly. And so those are the types of recruiters or in general professionals.
And you build that relationship, they get to know you and what's right for you and what's not right for you. And
exactly
makes the process more streamlined, doesn't it? More efficient.
Absolutely, but I totally second what you say. You need this type of professionals around you. You need support, particularly on recruitment. This is not something that you can do on your own unless you are a corporate and you have an HR department that becomes your internal recruiter. But apart from that, if you're a small business, definitely you need the recruiter.
Get support where you need it. Really exciting. So where do you see yourself in the business in the next 5 years? You're talking about more funding and growing. So what does that look like for you guys?
Good question. So first of all, yes, as I said, we just opened a new round of investment, and the reason is that the interest that we are receiving on the market, particularly for, as I said, the dermocosmetic side, or the medical aesthetic medicine side, is big, and this means that we need we need to grow in order to address that need, because it's, even if we have the technology, even if we develop the software, you have to deal with customers, you have to follow the sales process, the marketing process, you have to stay, you have to just have a team dedicated to it. So we definitely need to grow, and for growing, it's good. I think it's good or essential to have some investment, because that's what the company needs, but the opportunity is definitely huge. So how can I see the next 5 years? So of course it's a guess, because in business anything can change in a moment, but you never know. But honestly, what I think is the first step, so like in the next 1 year or two, the first step will be to commercialize our current solutions, particularly the apps for there is one app or anyway digital system for the telemedicine of skin cancer that is called the Smart PDT, that can be used also for treating acne and other skin diseases. And at the moment, that's a medical device that is commercialized in the UK and in some other European countries. So the first goal is to try to commercialize it more consistently and to increase the adoption of that product, first of all in Europe. And then the second step is going to be to, instead of the line of business dedicated to solar exposure, so mobile apps for people that wants to avoid sunburn and get enough vitamin D from sunlight. That's the kind of thing that is attractive for dermocosmetic companies that produce sunscreens for those people. And in that case, it's a B2B business. So I think that we could definitely find some B2B partnerships with some big multinational corporates. And also in that case, we will need to grow a bit to deal with that kind of expectations, because I mean, you can start with an app that is used, I don't know, by 100 people, and then the following day you have a demand for, can we release it for our 1 million of customers?
Yeah.
And that's a completely different level. So that's the second step, I think. So to go forward also on that. And then the last step is going to be to commercialize our solutions on a global scale. So for example, we are going to launch the app for the that is called the Sun for Health, the app for the solar protection and vitamin D at the next World Congress of Skin Cancer Prevention in Australia in September. And that's going to be the first opportunity for launching our solutions outside of Europe. And yeah, so I hope in the next 5 years that we are going to address these opportunities and to commercialize some of our products, if not all our products, on a global scale. Particularly, of course, I'm thinking to Europe, US, and Commonwealth countries.
Yeah. Exciting times. Going to be really, really interesting to watch the journey and watch the growth over the next few years.
Yes, particularly also for me, because I started all of this in some way during my PhD when I developed the first algorithm for this technology, and now this is becoming a business, and this business is producing, I mean, it's delivering products for the world. So that's how I feel about it. So yes, definitely exciting.
No, credit where credit's due. Amazing job, very inspirational. So that's been absolutely fantastic. I could talk to you for hours about it because you're so passionate and so motivated about it. Where would our listeners go to find out a little bit more about what you're doing and sort of follow the journey and track what you're doing?
Fantastic. I mean, first of all, our website, that is www.sahealth.co.uk. And that's the first source of information. We have also a newsletter for finding more. And then there is also the LinkedIn channel where we normally advertise the new products launches, the new collaborations. For example, we just announced the collaboration with the NHS, and there is going to be new partnerships announced soon. So I would say that the main channels for now are website and LinkedIn.
Very good. Marco.
Events, in case there is anyone listening that is in the dermocosmetic or in the telemedicine sector, we normally attend events like the events. So that's another, and we have some colleagues or some doctors that are going to talk about our products. So that's another source of information.
There you go. Very good. Marco, thank you again for your time. It's been really interesting. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's been a pleasure for me too, definitely.